it's indicative of the deeply concerning trend in the city where we have, you've got drugs, money, guns, all in one place and accompanied by individuals from the Southern Ontario region. There is a concern inherent in the use of firearms and the presence of firearms, certainly those with high capacity magazines, which is something we've seen more of in recent years, and then the conversion to fully automatic. That provides us with a source of concern for the safety of not only our community, but also for our officers. Dangers of fentanyl and synthetic opioids are well documented. Thunder Bay struggles with people who suffer from substance misuse. And unfortunately, people fall victim to these illicit substances and these very powerful substances in our city far too often. So there's a very, very real concern in this community. I think you'd be hard pressed anywhere in the community to find someone who hasn't been touched by this. It's being called an epidemic. It's appropriately referred to as a crisis. It truly is, and we as a community experience that. So I won't reinvent the wheel, and I won't restate the obvious. The presence of these substances in this quantity and in the presence of firearms, it couples to provide a very, very concerning picture.
This is going to grab eyeballs just because of the number of suspects arrested, but how significant is this bust from your perspective in terms of actually tackling the drug trafficking issues in the city?
Well, I'll answer that on a couple of fronts. One, I think anytime we have a significant number of suspects, particularly those from out of town, taken into custody, we couple that with a significant amount of Canadian currency, a significant number of weapons, all of which are unlawfully possessed, and in some cases altered, in some cases also seized with high capacity magazines. We look at that in its totality. The significance is very, very high. Unfortunately, the sad follow-up to that statement is that it's not isolated. I mean, we have stood probably in this room in recent memory and discussed seizures of guns, drugs, and money, and the arrest of persons from outside of the district. So this is a reality that we continue to combat, and I have to, again, at the risk of sounding like a broken record, I have to praise the hard work of the members of this service who investigate and have put in the hours to obtain search warrants, to execute search warrants safely, particularly in this circumstance of risk. It is a tireless effort that our intelligence unit and the other units that support them put forward.
I forget the exact wording in the release, but it was noted that there was some attempt to resist arrest from 4 of the suspects. Can you go into more detail about what that involved and if any officers sustained injuries during that?
I will say that no officers were injured during the course of the arrest, but I will comment on the fact that when you have firearms, particularly in that number and with that capacity, and you have subjects who are willing to actively resist arrest, it was a very, very concerning combination.
In your previous answer about just the perseverance of the police force in tackling all these different drug operations throughout the city, but is there a frustration that builds that you take one down and another one pops up, and it seems like a ever-ending war against these drug dealers?
Well, you touch on a very important point, and that's one that I like to recognize, and that is the human cost to investigators who are doing this work. The potential for frustration, the potential for disillusionment. What I find and what I like to highlight is the fact that while there are frustrations, certainly, it's not manifesting in disillusionment. You see these investigators continue to push, continue to do the work, continue to show up and do excellent work in the face of ever-mounting numbers. And that goes across the board. Drug investigations, homicide investigations, the day-to-day primary response, and the sheer activity level of the frontline officers in the service. I think across the board, the workload is significant, and the people here have day in, day out answered the call.